Lair of the Lansing Leprechauns, Chapters 7, 8, and 9. Chapter 7. Bentley, I called out. Bentley continued to growl and snarl. He sounded more ferocious than I'd ever heard him sound before. In fact, Bentley isn't what you'd call mean or vicious. Bentley is the sweetest dog in the world. Dad says he'd never make a good watchdog because he wouldn't hurt a flea. Now I wasn't so sure. Bentley sounded like he was about to tear something apart. Slowly, Cornell and I crept through the tall grass toward the sound of Bentley's growling. Maybe he found your phone, Cornell said. I don't think he'd be growling like that if he did, I said. And besides, Bentley's smart, but not that smart. He doesn't even know what we're looking for. He wouldn't even... Shh, Cornell said. He stopped walking and placed a single finger to his lips. Did you hear that? He hissed. I listened. I still couldn't see Bentley, but he was still growling. That was all I heard. I looked at Cornell and shrugged, and I mouthed the word, "What?" Cornell didn't say anything. He kept his finger to his lips and then pointed toward Bentley in the tall grass. Then I wondered, has Bentley found the little man I'd spotted earlier? Has my dog found the leprechaun? I thought I heard a voice, Cornell said quietly. Maybe you did, I replied. Maybe it was the leprechaun. I hope your dog doesn't eat him, Cornell said. That scared me. Although it sounded crazy, it was a very real possibility. Bentley might think the tiny man was a toy or maybe a big biscuit and chomp down on him. While I didn't know who or what he was, I certainly didn't want to hurt him, especially if it turned out that he was a real leprechaun. Cornell and I crept through the grass, inching our way toward Bentley. I could see his tail twitching back and forth. It wasn't his normal wag. Usually when Bentley is happy, he wags his tail back and forth like a furry windshield wiper. At home, he sometimes knocks things off the coffee table, which is why we have to be careful what we leave there. But now his tail moved slowly. It was stiff and rigid, tense. Something was wrong. Bentley knew it, and so did I. The grass moved, and Bentley stopped growling. He was now hidden by the long green blades, and I couldn't see him. Bentley, I called out again. Here, boy, come here. There was no movement in the grass. Bentley didn't move or make a sound. That's not like him, I said to Cornell. He almost always comes when I call him. Cornell and I took another step toward Bentley, or to where Bentley had been. Bentley was gone. He had vanished. Chapter 8. Cornell and I snapped around, scouring the grass around us. How did that happen? Cornell said, scratching his head. He pointed at the grass in front of him. He was right here, right in this very spot. He couldn't have just vanished. Bentley, I said, quieter this time, bewildered. I knew there was no point in raising my voice or yelling because Bentley hadn't run off. We would have seen him. He would have disturbed the grass and we would have been able to track his movements. Where did he go? My worry grew. My dog was missing and I had no idea where he'd gone. Cornell knelt down, nearly vanishing in the tall grass. Wait a minute, he said, crawling forward a few inches. What? I asked, taking a few steps toward him. I knelt down. What did you find? He looked at me. His face displayed a mix of excitement, wonder, mystery, and maybe even a little fear. Then he looked back at whatever he'd spotted. He moved his hand in front of him and swept away the tall grass. Check this out, he said. I leaned forward and he pulled away a swath of grass. There was a large hole in the ground. Not a hole like someone had dug with a shovel, but a uniform hollow, rectangular in shape like the entrance to a storm cellar, big enough for a human to enter. And it didn't go straight down, but it had been dug at an angle so you could walk in and down like a staircase without the stairs, of course. How did this get here? Cornell wondered aloud. Have you seen this before? I shook my head. Nope, I said. We stood at the entrance gazing down into the dark depths. There were dog tracks in the soft earth that went down into the hole and then vanished in the darkness. Bentley! I shouted down into the cavernous corridor. I listened. Nothing. No bark. No jangling sound of his collar. I had the leash in my hand, and I wished I would have put it on him earlier. This is really weird, Cornell said. I never knew this was here. I wonder where it goes. I don't know, I said, but my dog is down there, and I'm going after him. Fern, Cornell said. He tried to grab my arm, but I pulled it from his grasp. I took one step down into the tunnel, but quickly lost my footing. It was steeper than it appeared, and I quickly found myself tumbling forward, out of balance, falling. Chapter 9. Although I thought that I could simply step down into the hole, I'd been mistaken. It was much steeper than I thought, and I quickly lost my footing and fell tumbling forward. I tried to stop myself, tried to regain control, but I couldn't. I could hear Cornell shouting my name, but his voice quickly became distant and then faded completely. But I really wasn't paying too much attention to my friend. I was too caught up in the moment, too scared and anxious, trying to stop myself from churning down, knees over elbows, into the deep darkness. What made matters worse was that I couldn't see anything. I could feel dirt and sand on my bare skin as I rolled and kept my eyes closed to keep the sand out. Finally, the ground leveled out and I stopped. I paused for a moment, dazed. Carefully, I opened my eyes, which didn't make too much of a difference because I still couldn't see anything. But the good news? Bentley was licking my face, happy to see me. I wrapped my arms around his neck. "There you are," I said, scratching his ears as I stood up. Somehow I'd managed to hang on to the leash and hadn't dropped it when I fell. I was about to hook it to Bentley's collar when I heard Cornell. "Fern?" His voice was distant and muffled. I'm okay," I called out, "I think, and I found Bentley." "Hang on," he said. "I'm coming." I was about to tell him to wait, to stay where he was, but it was too late. He, too, lost his footing and tumbled, and in seconds he had smacked into me. Neither of us was hurt. "Man, it's so dark down here that I can't see a thing," Cornell said. "I know," I replied. "I was going to tell you not to come down. We don't have a light or anything." "But what's this hole for?" Cornell said. "Who made it?" "I don't know," I said, "but I'm not sure I want to find out, and I don't want to get into trouble, so now that we found my dog, we can go home." Slowly, I moved my arms around to feel my way, and I quickly found Cornell. "Hey," he winced, "you poked me in the eye." "Sorry," I replied. But my hands also found something else, the smooth, hard surface of what appeared to be a door or a wall of some sort. "Hey," I said, "I found something. I think it's a door." I pushed. The door moved. "It is a door, and it's open," I said. As I pushed the door, I took a step. "I still can't see a thing," Cornell said. "Wait," I replied. I couldn't see anything either, but I slowly waved my arms and hands, feeling blindly in the darkness, and I touched something. A wall. And I found something. A light switch. I flicked it up, and light bloomed. "Whoa," Cornell said. "This day keeps getting weirder and weirder." I said nothing. I was too astonished at what we were seeing to be able to speak.